There's another human inside you. Look at your hands, your eyes, your face in the mirror. You probably think every part of your body came from your human ancestors, but that's not entirely true. Hidden inside the DNA of millions of people alive today are genetic instructions inherited from another kind of human. A human species that disappeared tens of thousands of years ago. A species so mysterious that scientists didn't even know it existed until 2010. They left behind no cities, no written language, no famous skeletons. For decades, they were completely invisible to history. All it took to reveal them was a tiny finger bone. No bigger than your little finger. That single fossil completely rewrote the human family tree. Today, scientists believe these forgotten humans changed the survival of our own species, and parts of them are still alive inside us. This is the incredible story of the Denisovans, the human species nobody knew existed. For centuries, history seemed simple. Modern humans replaced the Neanderthals. The end. But science has a habit of destroying simple stories. In 2008, archaeologists excavating Denisova cave in Siberia uncovered an ordinary-looking finger bone belonging to a young girl. There was nothing remarkable about its appearance. If anything, it looked too small to change history. But when geneticists extracted DNA from the fossil, they discovered something impossible. It didn't belong to a modern human. It didn't belong to a Neanderthal. It belonged to an entirely different human species no one had ever identified before. Scientists named them the Denisovans after the cave where they were discovered. The shocking part wasn't merely that another human species existed, it was that millions of people today still carry pieces of Denisovan DNA. History hadn't forgotten them, it had inherited them. A discovery hidden inside a finger bone. Normally, archaeologists identify ancient humans by studying skulls, teeth, or complete skeletons. The Denisovans gave scientists almost none of those clues. Instead, everything began with fragments, a finger bone, several enormous molars. Later, a jawbone found high on the Tibetan plateau. These remains looked unusual but revealed little on their own. DNA changed everything. Unlike previous discoveries that relied mainly on anatomy, this was one of the first ancient human species identified primarily through genetics. Researchers at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology compared the fossil's genome with those of modern humans and Neanderthals. The results were astonishing. The Denisovans shared a common ancestor with Neanderthals but followed their own evolutionary path for hundreds of thousands of years. Human history had suddenly gained an entirely new branch. Even more surprising, the Denisovans weren't isolated to one cave. Their DNA appears in living populations across Asia and Oceania, suggesting they once occupied an enormous territory stretching from the icy mountains of Siberia to tropical islands thousands of kilometers away. For a species almost completely absent from the fossil record, they left an extraordinary genetic footprint. Masters of the extreme world, imagine surviving where winter temperatures plunge far below freezing, where food disappears for months, where oxygen grows thinner with every step into the mountains. This was the world the Denisovans mastered. Evidence suggests they lived in environments that challenged even modern humans. One of the most remarkable discoveries came from a fossilized jawbone found inside Baishiakar's cave on the Tibetan plateau. Dating back more than 160,000 years, it revealed that Denisovans were living at extreme altitudes long before modern humans ever settled there. The air at these elevations contains significantly less oxygen. For most people, breathing becomes exhausting. Yet the Denisovans adapted, not with technology alone, but through evolution itself. They developed genetic traits that allowed their bodies to function where oxygen was scarce. At the time, they had no idea those adaptations would one day help another species survive. Because eventually, modern humans arrived, and instead of simply replacing the Denisovans, something extraordinary happened when two human species met. For generations, scientists imagined that when different human species encountered one another, they fought until only one survived. Reality turned out to be far more complicated. As modern humans expanded out of Africa around 60,000 to 70,000 years ago, they entered lands already occupied by Neanderthals and Denisovans. These meetings weren't always hostile. Some groups traded knowledge, some shared territory, and some started families. This wasn't speculation, it was written inside our DNA. Genetic studies revealed that people living today in regions such as Melanesia, Papua New Guinea, Australia, and parts of Southeast Asia inherited between 3 and 6% of their DNA from Denisovans. Smaller amounts also appear in several East Asian populations. In other words, the Denisovans never completely disappeared. Part of them lives on inside millions of people today. Then came one of the most astonishing discoveries in archaeology. Scientists analyzed the DNA of a teenage girl whose bone was found inside Denisova cave. She became known simply as Denny. Her mother was a Neanderthal. Her father was a Denisovan. She wasn't descended from the two species. She was their direct child. That single fossil proved something extraordinary. Different human species didn't just meet. They had children together. The human family tree wasn't made of separate branches that never touched. It was woven together like roots beneath a forest. The ancient gift hidden in your DNA. At first, scientists assumed Denisovan DNA was simply a relic of the past. Then they discovered something remarkable. Some of those ancient genes are still helping people survive today. One of the most famous examples comes from the Tibetan Plateau. Living at altitudes above 4,000 meters is incredibly difficult. The thin air forces the human body to work much harder for every breath. Most visitors develop headaches, fatigue, or even life-threatening altitude sickness. Yet many Tibetan communities have lived there comfortably for thousands of years. Why? Because many inherited a version of the EPAS1 gene from the Denisovans. This genetic variation helps the body use oxygen more efficiently in thin mountain air. Without it, permanent life at such extreme elevations would have been far more difficult. Think about that for a moment. A species that vanished tens of thousands of years ago is still helping people climb mountains, raise families, and build communities in one of the harshest environments on Earth. That's not just history, that's inheritance. Why did the Denisovans disappear? If the Denisovans were so adaptable, why did they vanish? The truth is, nobody knows for certain. Climate change dramatically reshaped ancient landscapes. Glaciers expanded, forests shifted, animals migrated, entire ecosystems transformed. Competition with modern humans may have placed additional pressure on already scattered Denisovan populations. Resources became harder to secure. Territories overlapped. Some groups likely died out. Others were gradually absorbed through interbreeding with modern humans. Perhaps that's the most fascinating possibility. Maybe the Denisovans never experienced a single dramatic extinction. Maybe they slowly became part of us, not erased, merged. History often treats extinction as a clean ending. Evolution rarely works that way. Sometimes survival doesn't mean remaining separate. Sometimes survival means becoming part of the future. The human family was never simple. For centuries, we imagined human history as a straight line, one species replacing another until only we remained. The Denisovans shattered that idea. They revealed that our past was far more connected than we ever imagined. The story of humanity isn't one of isolated species standing alone. It's a story of encounters, cooperation, adaptation, and shared survival. The next time you hear the phrase modern human, remember this. Modern humans were never entirely alone. We learned from others, we lived beside others, and in some cases, we became family. If you enjoyed uncovering one of humanity's greatest hidden mysteries, make sure to like this video and subscribe.